anthropology, and it was in my second year that I dropped out of that course without consulting my parents, and I opted for my love. And nobody knew. My father thought I was studying anthropology and I was going to graduate with a bachelor in social sciences. Only on graduation day, he showed up in his suit, and we were going to campus to the graduation, and told him, Muzei means old man. He said, Muzei, you know, I'm graduating in music, dance, and drama. I said, damn, I'm not going. He didn't go with me. He was mad at me until a few years later when I got real successful. And he said, son, maybe you were right. So yeah, I was an artist for a long time. I was comfortable. I only went to law school because of a fundamental decision that I had taken to get involved in politics, but I needed some training. So I went to law school in 2016. Now that follows so many reasons that drove me to politics, which will take me so long to delve into. However, I took that decision in 2016 to go back to law school. And when I went to law school, guess what I found? I found this new professor who was a young graduate from Harvard. He had just earned his master's degree in law from the Harvard Law School. We became friends and started having conversations, about the country and the trajectory it was taken. And we saw how, there was no constitutionalism in our country. So, towards the end of the first year, we saw that General Museveni was trying to change the constitution to make himself stay forever, and the lawlessness and everything. So the student and the professor agreed that it does not make sense to study law, to study constitutional law in a country that had no constitutionalism. We both left law school and formed a political movement called People Power. Yeah, and that's how People Power started.
So let me ask a question then. My next question is really about the connection between activism and the sort of movement politics of People Power and the decision to formalize it in a political party in a country that has such a fraught relationship, shall we say. We'll get into the details. But
Yeah.
A fraught relationship with elections, of democracy. Are there trade-offs in the sort of activist movement approach and the formal party politics approach? And what made it worth it for you to formalize?
Yeah. Actually, it's a huge trade-off, I must say. I was an activist into activism. I believed in it. I still believe in it. Actually, when I chose to run for parliament, there were many political parties, the ruling party and formidable opposition parties. While the NRM was a ruling party, we had the FDC led by Dr. Kizza Besigye, powerful opposition party, the main leading opposition party then. I had the Democratic Party, the historical opposition party, Uganda People's Congress and all that. But the youthful me, with that fire that was burning in me, believed, as I believe now, that the solution did not lie in a political party. And there was a lot of, polarization among political parties. So I decided to run independent on an activism card. I won the election against the main political party and the main opposition party with 80% of the vote. That spoke to me, and it is the gospel that we had been pushing to our nation, saying now Uganda's need is not another political party, but a formidable force of the people. And we went ahead to form the People Power movement. This encompassed membership and supporters from all across the divide, from all political parties, mainly opposition political parties. It went on like that until when circumstances determined that I ran for president in 2021. Now this is where the formalization came, that I needed a symbol, not just for me, but a symbol for me and all those that were running on the same values, on the same ideology. the same ideology of servant leadership and taking power back to the people, we needed a political party. We did not intend, I've never intended to form a political party. We were in good terms with the Democratic Party. We were in good terms with the Forum for Democratic Change, FDC, and others. Unfortunately, all of them, now this I learned later, that they had an understanding with the regime to disassociate from us. And yes, towards the election, none of us could associate with us because dictators love a divided opposition. And I'm saying opposition with quotes because some opposition, most of them are not intending or are not targeting removal of the regime, but just to up their status within the regime. So we very cunningly and creatively co-opted an unknown political party. It was called National Unity, Development and Reconciliation Party. Silently and through a proxy, we changed its name, changed its colors to our preferred colors. She also changed the symbol, and we held a secret delegates conference, and I took over the leadership. Why did we do that? Because the regime, we wanted to formalize the People Power movement and turn it into a political party, but the regime gave an order not to register us as a political party because they knew what it would turn up. Anyway, fast forward, we took over this new political party, and in a shocking revelation, we held a press conference and said, ladies and gentlemen, now we have a new political party, and we held a secret delegates conference, and here I am. I'm the president of that party, and the nation went into a frenzy. Now, this was just a month and a half towards the main election. We were able to nominate on that political party, and we won the election, although it was rigged. We got many more members of parliament, and we suddenly became the leading opposition political party. Yeah.
So I wanted to come to that election.
I must mention this, I'm sorry. I must mention this to draw clarity between activism and former political party. We have said it before that we are not a political party, and yes, we are not. We just have a political party. We took over that political party to have a formal and legal platform, an electoral platform as a political party. But to solve our problem, we are the People Power movement, not the National Unity Platform. We just have a political party, but we are a movement. I don't know if I make it more clear.
Yes, no, I understand. I mean, I think also what you just demonstrated, it's almost like show, don't tell, the link between theater, which is the like reveal of who we are, the colors, the flag, the icon of the party, and the law, which is you have to find a path. It has to be something that's not obvious because there was an attempt to deny you the right to register. So those trainings served you well. At the end of the day, you're still a lawyer and a theater and music.
Drama school did it. Drama school did it.
So I wanted to dig into the election a little bit because we have many sort of politically minded people in the room. I hope all of you will actually contest power, do the hard thing. You can ask our guests today what it's like. But in January of this year, President Yoweri Museveni was declared the winner of the presidential elections, marking his 40th year in office. There were widespread allegations of human rights abuses, fraud. We heard about the abuse and torture that you and your family have experienced, and for that, we're so sorry. You were declared officially the runner-up. Can you walk us through what the experience is like contesting elections that you know are not free and fair, and what was gained in spite of that?
Yeah, it's a long story. I wish I could, in just half a minute, take us back to 2021 because that was the first time I ran for president. I was aware of General Museveni. I was aware of how captured all institutions are, including the police and the military, the parliament, everything. And indeed, in Uganda, like some places, some other places in Africa, running or contesting against General Museveni is contesting against the Uganda People's Defense Forces, the Uganda Police, the Bank of Uganda, every institution of state. You can see this. I mean, just yesterday, his son, General Muhoozi, who is the Chief of Defense Forces, had his birthday, and all soldiers were ordered to put on his t-shirt and go running. This included some ministers, some generals, and he's always on Twitter,
X,
you know, speaking his mind. However, you know, although it might come off to many of us, and he was ordering all former military commanders to show up if they don't want to have a problem. Anyway, so we went to that election. I went into that election because our major goal at that time was to bring our common people close to their politics. You see, we come from a country that for a very long time has made an effort to disassociate politics from the common people. And the common people are the masses, to the extent that they didn't know, neither did they care about how they are governed. But in 2021, we were able to awaken the people and show them the importance of politics and why they must come out and vote. And indeed we won, but it was, you know, rigged. So coming back to contest in 2026 was a huge debate. Personally, I had endured so much. I'd seen hundreds of my friends killed. For example, on 19th and 18th of November 2021, hundreds were massacred on the streets, although the government only acknowledged killing 54. So I didn't want to run again. But again, we needed to use the election. Again, since it's the only opportunity, we get to speak to the people. We are heavily gagged, heavily controlled, heavily, you know, intercepted everywhere. So we ran again. This time I had a mission to unite the people of Uganda, but also to be able to reach every corner of the country. That was our only excuse to speak to the people, because I was a presidential candidate. And indeed, the presidential campaign was given 112 days, and I was campaigning every single day of those 112 days. I reached every corner of the country. Of course, I made tear gas and bullets. And we were able, you know, to once again awaken the people of Uganda. Of course, it called for more brutality now because the people were more charged. As we speak now, people are being abducted. As a matter of fact, as soon as we cast, my wife and I, as soon as we cast our vote and returned home, we were immediately surrounded by the military. We knew it would happen, but this time it was more, because by the time we had the election, the internet was switched off 2 days before. Radios and TVs were switched off, those that were not pro-regime. Journalists were ordered not to cover the election. As usual, international observers, those that were not compromised, were locked out, and we went into the election. So here we are, my wife and I, locked up in our house and surrounded by the military. The following day, we were raided by the military on the orders of the Chief of Defense Forces. And that night, because I had learned a lesson in 2021, I had anticipated that raid. And our friendly people within the forces had warned us that there was an order from the Chief of Defense Forces, who is the son of the president, that I should be disabled fundamentally. Whatever that meant, for me, it rang a bell. So I played a ninja role and disappeared. And disappeared from my house. We call it rubber dub style. On the 16th, they didn't get me, but that day they did not break into my house. I remained at large. I wanted to be able to charge up my people, to be able to communicate, because I knew they would lock me in my house, cut off the internet, and isolate me from the rest of the world. That went on for another week. Now, on the 23rd of January 2026, after looking for me for a week and a few days, and they couldn't find me, the son of the president got so angry that he raided my house. This time they broke into my house, found my wife, beat her so bad. They beat my family members, they stripped my wife naked. Meanwhile, they were filming and taking pictures, the same pictures that later on Museveni's son, who is the chief of defense forces, tweeted in his, usual tweets, erratic tweets, for lack of a better word, saying this is Bobi's wife when we captured her. Now, those who don't know Muhoozi Kainerugaba, let me give him free marketing. Please follow him on Twitter. He's Muhoozi Kainerugaba. It will help for you to see what he does. Many of you know about the story of Idi Amin. We have a new one who is more crude. He does not pretend, unlike his father, he does not pretend to be a good dictator. He said on Twitter that he would abduct my bodyguard, torture him, and he did that. Stripped him, shaved him, he had his beard and hair, and put him on Twitter. He does that. He has bragged for killing 23 of my friends, and he was looking for me to be the 24th dead body. He once again also ordered me to show up in 24 hours or they will find me and kill me. And when I didn't show up, he gave an order publicly that I should be delivered dead or alive. He also ordered publicly that I should be castrated. So the military and the police mounted roadblocks everywhere in the country.
He wanted your balls.
Looking for me. Yeah, looking for me. When they didn't find me, they kept raiding my friends, members of parliament and all that. He raided the home of my personal assistant when he didn't find me, because he was looking for me. When he didn't find me, they abducted the wife and kept her in a military barracks for 37 days. And in those days, we don't know to the extent what exactly took on, but she told us, among other things, that they removed her contraceptive, her IUD from her. This is a military barracks, and many other things. So, knowing that, I knew that the first time they get their hands on me, I was a dead man. Once again, I played James Bond, and in a Robert Dobb style, exited the country, and here I am. Yeah.
Many people are very grateful that you're here today, but it's also, I know, a heavy weight to be in exile. So I wanted to ask, I have a few questions, and then I'll turn it over. Just building on these terrible stories of violence and harm, what does keep you going? What makes it worth it for you, especially if you feel like you can't be safely in the country at this moment?
Hope. Hope that one day everything's going to be all right. And the belief that oppressed people can stay oppressed forever. We look back in history where we are, so many countries have been there. Kenya was there in the days of Moi. Many other countries have been there, but with the persistence of their citizens, they win. And also the enormous support that we enjoy. You see, while many people focus on my own challenges, but I must say that I'm way better than those that we struggle together with. For example, I have international attention on me, and I'm more like having a spotlight on me. My challenges tend to be shared many times. When I made my way to America, I have the luxury of having a passport and a visa and affording an air ticket, or having friends that can give me an air ticket to get out of danger. But even when I come to the diaspora, for example, I ran out of my country. My wife left first. We are here in a foreign land, with our 4 children, but we are being embraced. One thing I did not mention, that when the military raided and beat up my house and she ended up in hospital, she escaped from her hospital bed to be able to leave the country. Meanwhile, the military took over my house. Not the home, not surrounding the home, but broke into the house and started living home knows that there was one gardener that stayed there, and every now and then would see soldiers moving out of my house in my clothes. So it would be funny if it wasn't sad, but we were able to go past that. So the hope and the support that we get from the people that are even more oppressed than myself, I mean, the common people, that alone keeps us going. You know, when I was in hiding, I would just show up in people's houses and they would, you know, let me. There's this one time when I was moving with my mask and showed up, whenever I show up and say, it's Bobi Wine, shh, everybody fits in. I mean, it's like we have known each other for a long time. There's this Muslim woman whose house I ran into while they were chasing us. She screamed, oh my God, and they say, it's Bobi Wine. Suddenly she went quiet.
I know.
So for me, that is one thing that keeps me going. The faith that people have in this that we believe in, the support that we enjoy, the fact that the millions of people are involved in this, young, old, men, women, rural, urban, educated, uneducated. Everybody sees this as an opportunity for us to get together and overcome it. The struggle has been taken from the intellectuals way down to the masses. It has been owned by the people, the border riders, the farmers, the barbers, the vendors in the market. That alone gives me hope that this is going to go well and we're going to win. So that alone is one fuel that keeps me moving on.
Thank you. So I'll ask my last question and then I'll open the floor. I was supposed to be moderating a conversation with activists from Tanzania recently, and for their own security, we had to cancel the discussion. And so I wanted to ask kind of what your assessment is of the landscape across the Great Lakes region, East Africa, and even across Africa or the world, whatever level resonates for you. I mean, Uganda is in some ways not exceptional. Your story, your individuality, the movement is exceptional, and yet we see this sort of democracy needing to move into movement rather than be able to contest elections, authoritarians, you know, validating election results that seek to give themselves legitimacy. You know, people talk about backsliding, they talk about rising authoritarianism, but you're sort of at the front of the mind. Like, what do you see in the region, and what do you think is going to happen next with the young people?
Thank you. Uganda is not a special case. This is a challenge that is in not only the Great Lakes region, but all over Africa, and it's very sad. As a matter of fact, when I escaped out of my country, many people that present themselves with a badge of Pan-Africanism criticized me so much for running to the white man's land, for running to the colonialists. I mean, that's not where our solution is. They would probably escape me to run to Kenya or Tanzania or any African country, and I would love to, you know. But as we speak right now, the dictatorship in Uganda has and continues to export itself to many other parts of Africa. And that is the danger of dictatorship, like Martin Luther King when he said injustice everywhere, anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. In the current times, a dictatorship anywhere is a threat to democracy everywhere, because it emboldens other dictators that it's actually possible you can do it and get away with it. I mean, back in the day, Africa was safe. The freedom fighters in Uganda, those who fought against Idi Amin, they didn't have to run to America, they just ran to Tanzania. As a matter of fact, Tanzania helped us get rid of Idi Amin. I wish we could be moving forward and not backwards. Museveni himself and our fathers that were fighting against the Obote government, they would run to Kenya because Kenya was safe. Just over a year and a half ago, Dr. Kizza Besigye, a veteran, iconic freedom fighter in Uganda, was abducted from Kenya by Ugandan security with assistance with the Kenyan security, he was driven in a car trunk, in a car book, across the border illegally and charged in a pseudo-military court, in a kangaroo court in Uganda. Activists from Tanzania are being tortured. Those that come from Uganda and went to Kenya, there was, you know, our brothers and sisters that went to Kenya, that went to Tanzania. Many of them got tortured for days, sexually assaulted, and men, they were sodomized, you know. It is sad that now, East Africa in particular is being reduced. The East African community is being reduced to a president's club to keep each other safe in power. It's not like the way it used to be. The longer people stay in power, is the more they get spoiled. I think when we were having a conversation earlier on, I told you that I was named after Robert Mugabe. He was a prized revolutionary. He was a great guy that people admired. Unfortunately, by the time he died, he had degenerated to a despised dictator. And over the time, it was no longer pride to share a name with him. That's why I even changed my name to Bob, because Bob was better than Robert, although it meant the same. So my point here is that the region is not as safe as should be. We find ourselves running away from home and running much further from even the continent because it's not safe at all, because democracy is dying, because dictators are looking out for each other and trying to squeeze life out of all those that try to empower people and try to keep the democratic candle burning. Yeah.
All right, the floor is open. I'll ask that you please keep your questions rather than speeches, and please keep them brief, and introduce yourself. Is it okay if we take two at a time? Because I see we have a large audience. Okay. So we'll start here in the front, and then I'll come to the next person in the front, and then I'll go to the back and try to be democratic and inclusive.
Hi, thank you so much for your...
Could you stand just so everyone
Okay,
can
yeah,
hear you?
my name is David. I'm a second year grad student at Harvard here. I'm actually taking a class with Dr. Marks now. And we watched your video in one of our classes where you were singing. And my question actually borders on that. And, you know, it sounded very Christian, right? I saw that very Christian, right? Christianity, like you do so much on Christian imageries, basically. And even right here, you've mentioned things like gospel, servant leadership, and things like that. And so I just wanted you to maybe talk about, is there any influence that Christianity has had on you in this movement so far? Or how are you actually drawing on these influences? Because I know that Christianity is probably 80 to 84% of the population in Uganda. So what does that actually do to your activism? And also, one of the things that we know within activisms like this is that there are a lot of people who often are against religion, who think that religion is part of the reasons why people are actually choosing this dictatorship. Is there anything like this also in this movement where people are against that? Or maybe just the paradox of that religion within your activist movement?
Really interesting question.
Let's take one more from the gentleman in the hat.
Yes, my name is William Nyende. I hold a master's in health informatics from Northeastern and an IT degree from Northeastern. When I was doing my master's, they taught us how to summarize 600 pages into a picture. Okay? And it has to be one page and it has to be a picture. So now, may I request that you do not interrupt him as I ask him this question, please? So the question I want to ask you is 600 pages that we need to summarize in one page, and that page has to be a picture. And this is what I think the problem in Africa and in Uganda is. Here's a question. How do we use constitutionalism to fight that power in the bearer of the God? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So we have a question on the role of religion in your movement. and a question on constitutionalism, fighting the barrel of the gun,
Yes.
military power.
Thank you very much. I like the question. I sound very Christian. Do I? I would not look at myself as very Christian, not even very religious. I respect my religion. I was assigned Catholic at birth, you know. I know many others are assigned Muslim and all that. It was not our choice. But it's not a bad thing though. So, and especially the teachings. For example, you ask if I draw inspiration from Christianity. I think I draw inspiration from Christ and the message of servant leadership, of decency, of truth, of honesty, of respect. It's Christianity is humanity. And just like Islam is salam, is peace. Just like other religions, I draw so much from religion. Whether I'm very religious, I'm not sure. Whether it is a solution, I'm also not sure. As a matter of fact, I am more unsure about religion right now than it was. We have in Uganda the Interreligious Council. This is supposed to be the highest moral body that holds people morally accountable. Unfortunately, and with so much respect to them, I see them in the firm grip of the dictator. These are people that, sworn in Idi Amin. These are the same people that legitimize a dictator that murders people for fun, that mauls people on the street. And you won't hear them calling them out. It became even more unfortunate about 2 days ago when the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda came out under so much social media pressure and said, yo, I'm not here to save you. I operate otherwise. I don't operate like John the Baptist, because John the Baptist ended up being killed. You understand? I don't have to talk about everything. Some things need silence. Now, this is silence in the face of oppression. It brings back nostalgic memories of religious leaders of yesteryears like Desmond Tutu, who said, if you are neutral in a situation of injustice, you've chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant is putting his foot on a tail of a rat and you're neutral, you've chosen the side of the elephant. I mean, back in Uganda, we have a great religious leader. He was the Archbishop of the same church during the days of Idi Amin, and he stood boldly and criticized the excesses and extrajudicial killings of Ugandans by Idi Amin. He was killed. Today we have a day in his honor. And this is the morality that we are taught, to speak truth to power and not fear. I mean, we are taught that blessed are those that live for truth, because the kingdom of heaven is theirs. But our religious leaders don't seem in a rush to embrace the kingdom of heaven. It disturbs me. We are told to emulate Christ. Christ spoke truth to power and even proudly took death. That's why we look death in the eyes, and we are ready to face death, because this is what we are taught. Historically, all great men, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and others, they were killed for the truth. And today they are heroes, and we are told by our moral leaders that that is the way to go. Unfortunately, the same people are telling us that, yo, compromise and don't die. So that has, in a great, great way, affected not just mine, but the belief in religion. As I conclude your question, when you're asking, it brought back, I'm sure many of you have read Dr. Martin Luther King's letter from Birmingham jail.
Yeah.
That noted that the young people then were slowly losing interest in the church, because the church seemed not to be as moral as it had to be. So for now, I'm not shy to say my religion is truth. My religion is love. My religion is uncompromising truth and equal rights for every human being. Yeah. That also brings me to my brother's question: how can we use constitutionalism to put an end to gun rule? Don't look at constitutionalism alone. We use constitutionalism. I'm in exile right now. We went to the polls, we voted. We won the dictator. And he said, okay, you have won, but screw you. Announce me winner. And it went on like that. So, my being here is not just to make a case to foreigners, but to also tap into their abilities, well knowing that it is not only the forces back home, but the forces internationally that are even more effective and more important. I remember when there was a raging fight against the apartheid regime in South Africa. Africans and friends of Africa were on the streets of America and Europe protesting against apartheid. Why? Because the force that held apartheid intact was coming from here, and the force that disintegrated apartheid came from here. We know, just like the force that held Idi Amin in power came from America and the West, the force that kicked him the hell out came from here. General Museveni has been receiving up to $1 billion annually from the United States, leave alone the other Western countries, in security cooperation and all that. But when we come to these countries and tell them, yo, we are not asking you to come save us, but stop sponsoring our death. Stop protecting the dictatorships, not only to the administration, but to the intellectuals like yourselves who have voices that are respected. To the American citizens, because it is your taxpayers' money that is being used to oppress us, whether you know or you don't know. But now, nobody can claim not to know because they are aware. When a documentary about apartheid was shown in America, it created so much awareness. And in a short while, the American government disassociated with the apartheid government. That is what we want to do, because we know it's possible. We know if America said we are not going to be associated with mass killings of people, that will end. But now, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who is Museveni's son and also the head of Uganda military, will torture people on the camera, will torture the wife of the presidential candidate on camera, and the following day, he will come out in a picture, an unofficial picture, standing shoulder to shoulder with either an American diplomat or a European diplomat. What does that communicate? That communicates that you're partners in crime, that you are willing to close an eye to this injustice for, other benefits. It shows that this great democracy, when it comes to Uganda, it chooses diplomacy over democracy. It chooses, if I could finish, it chooses, business over rights and values. And for us, we are telling them, stand for the rights and for the values that you profess. And I've said it before, I'll say it right here again, that if what Museveni is doing to Ugandans was being done by a European leader, that leader will not be in power the next month. However, you cannot see an American diplomat or a European diplomat from a democracy standing shoulder to shoulder with a dictator like, for example, Lukashenko. But now, if they stand shoulder to shoulder with an African dictator and it's all right to kill 100 Ugandans and you close an eye to it, shows that the standard, Uganda's human rights is held at a lower standard than the rest of the world. And for us, that comes off like racism. And if it's not, I don't know what it looks like. So our effort now is not only constitutionalism. Our effort is in every means, every moral means, every constitutional means every legal means. And that comes when we scream and scream and scream it out. Thank you.
We have many hands still. We'll take, I think, 2 more rounds, but we'll try to keep it brief. So we start 15 minutes late, we end 15 minutes late. We'll be finished. I see Elizabeth and gentleman here, and then, oh, I said we would take one in the back. Sorry, so you're on the second round. So Elizabeth, and at the very back, yes. And if you could please shout.
Thank you. I am a student at the college studying government and psychology. Thank you so much for being here. As we talked earlier, I grew up listening to your songs, and in 2021, when you ran for president, we were following your journey, first of all, because you are a young person, and African...
Am I?
Yes, Africa needs young people, and I think that's one of the reasons why there were overwhelming majority of young people, and a lot of people in Africa following you. But also there's one thing, I think that's one thing that I've been grappling with, and I don't know the answer. I think maybe you'll know the answer because this is your campaign, is that a lot of other Africans know that you deserve to win and you are at the task of this. But there are other people who also saw your campaign as a joke, or maybe to attract international support or attention, or maybe funds. What did you think that you could really do differently? Because we really want these dictators out. The same thing is happening in my country. And the chief of staff of the defense minister of Uganda is supporting a real bombing to innocent South Sudanese because he is supporting the dictator that is in my country. So my question is, what would you do differently, or any other candidate who wants to run, so that what is your background, whether you're coming from politics or not, so that people will not see that you are a joke. You are doing this because you are fighting for people, so that people who have been in politics before could join the support and really support you and know that you are serious. I'm really looking forward to what you do.
I'm sorry, please ask the question precisely.
So, the question is, what could you have done differently so that the leaders who are in politics, like older people, or maybe other people who think that your campaign was not serious, so that they could support this? Because we need young people.
I got the question. I don't know if you will permit me. I would love, but the question is so intriguing that I want to respond immediately, lest I forget or lose the steam. Thank you very much. That's important. It had 2 parts. First, there are those that see the campaign that we ran as a joke. Believe me, when you fight corruption, corruption fights back. When you fight dictatorship, dictatorship fights back even more ferociously. Now, I'm a musician, and I'm proud of it. Anybody that wants to see me as a joke because of my talent and my vocation, which I went to university and studied and did with excellence, they're right. I mean, there are very many perspectives that people look at us, while the oppressed people look at me and my team as a beacon of hope. The agents of the dictators see me as a saboteur. And others, because we have the oppressor, and Uganda is divided into 2 sides, the oppressor and the oppressed. The oppressed people are not necessarily in politics, all of them. And also the oppressor, they are not all necessarily in the ruling government. There are even those that pose as the opposition. And indeed, Museveni has good opposition and bad opposition. The good opposition are those that are willing to be complacent and do the clean, nice politics. While us, we are the bad opposition that are intending to remove the dictatorship, and we are hated. So, I mean, I cannot choose for everybody how they see us. We would love to be determined by our agenda, the outcome of our campaign, and the character that we show. What could I have done differently? You see what I could have done differently? I don't like it, I don't believe it, so I didn't do it. And that was picking up guns. We're young people. I'm a bad boy. I'm from the ghetto. And indeed, many have come to us saying, Bobi, you are young, we are many, we are desperate, we have nothing to lose but everything to gain. Let's pick up guns and beat up these sons of bitches. I said no, because violence only begets violence. Historically, I've not seen anywhere where violence takes over and you get a smooth democracy. Our desire is to disempower the guns and empower the people. So we would be another group that comes in forcefully and filled with entitlement. But if through this our struggle we disempower violence, then we have empowered the people. We want to change. I mean, we come from a country that has never seen a peaceful transfer of power from one ruler to another. Since independence, 1962, that is 63 years ago. We want to change that in this, our generation. That is why we chose to take the long, painful, but moral path of non-violence. So we could have used violence, but we chose not to. Because also we know that General Museveni has been in power in Uganda for 40 years and he's a violent guy, he believes in violence. So he has, taken all these years stockpiling weapons. We chose not to take him to an area where he's an expert. We wanted to demystify violence by being non-violent. And that rendered all his stockpile of weapons useless. I mean, I'm a guy that shows up with just a microphone and he has no idea how to deal with us. He put me in jail, it got nasty. He releases me, he's in problems. So he's damned when I'm in jail, he's damned when I'm free. No wonder they resorted to abductions and killings and all that. So we could have taken the violent line. We chose not to. We chose non-violence because it has worked in the past. It's hectic, it's painful, but we know when we insist, it will not only work in Uganda, but it will become the new normal for Africa. It's time for constant killing each other is over. Thank you.
Sherry at the back and this gentleman in the vest, and then we'll close.
Sorry, can you please speak up? We can't hear you.
Kugenda
Okay, I'll
maaso
repeat it.
tuyinza tuzigirako very soon naye nga olukuŋŋaana luno luli ku Harvard University tugenda kubalugwa era essimu beezigidde mu kaseerako katono nnyo mu maaso kaawo.
Okay, so the question is, what are your plans moving forward, if you're allowed to share? And what's your message, besides hope, for your supporters?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a tricky question. What are my plans or our plans moving forward? I would say the main plan is not to give up. Not to give up. In a dictatorship like Uganda, you don't draw plans. Your next agenda is always set by the regime because you plan to have a rally and you wake up and you're abducted. You plan to speak to the people and you wake up and you're homeless. I mean, hours before, I was a comfortable homeowner back home and a respectable citizen. 24 hours later, I was a fugitive. A month, 2 later, I'm in a foreign country. I always tease with my friends, because when you don't have a home, you're homeless. So we just go by the day, but the major plan is not to give up. Among other things that we are doing or intend to do is to work up the diaspora. When I was forced out of my country, I conditioned my mind to believe that my work has only begun now. So we are on a phase of international engagement. That's what brings me here. That's what's taking me to Howard tomorrow. That's what takes me to Washington to knock all offices and to make sure we don't leave any stone unturned. But most importantly, to galvanize the diaspora. Just like in the days of slave trade, man, we have our best, our cream in the diaspora, in America, in Europe, in Arab countries. The best of us has left home. They are either economic refugees, political refugees, and all that. But these people want to go back home because they are not comfortable and fully living with full dignity on a foreign land. So they want to come back home. We have the best among Ugandans. I've traveled, you go to Europe, you go to these universities, and you have Ugandans teaching there. You go to India, you have Ugandans there, the surgeons there. But back home, the education system is rotten, the healthcare system is rotten. These people want to come back home because they know they are going to grow old. But they want to set up a country that will be worth their retirement. So we are reaching out to all those people because we can't reinvent the wheel. When they were fighting against dictatorships like Idi Amin, those that were in exile and in the diaspora played a huge role in the liberation of Uganda. So history is repeating itself, but in a better way. And that is what we're doing, and we keep going. That was the first question. I've forgotten the second question.
I think you answered them together. It was the
thank you.
message, and I was perfect.
Oh yeah, the message to the young people. Don't give up. But not only that, rise to the occasion. Nobody is coming to save you. It is you that is going to determine your tomorrow. You guys are young people here. Me, I'm 44 now. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, damn, I'm 44. I was 34 just the other day. In fact, it's as if 2 weeks ago when I was 25. But we grow so fast. Especially those that are coming from Africa or oppressed countries. Nobody else. You that are here in Harvard, man, you are the hope that we are looking for. You have already discovered your calling. Frantz Fanon, you are elites, you are intellectuals, you've read so much. You must have read about Frantz Fanon, who said every generation must, out of deep reflection, discover their cause, their mission, and choose to either betray it or pursue it. Now I have no doubt that you know your mission. You know what your countries can be. It's up to you to betray it or pursue it. You can pursue it. We are relying on you. Me, I'm here. I'm only speaking this, but I'm not an intellectual. I came to run for president when I didn't even have a university degree. You are the intellectuals of Africa. You must help yourselves by helping your people. That's a country, whatever country you come from in Africa or in any other oppressed country, you will have to go back. So play a role, rise to the occasion, and lead. People like Kwame Nkrumah, people like Mugabe when he was still a moral person, people like Jomo Kenyatta, they studied from here. What they got from here, came back to Africa and earned us independence. Came back to Africa and earned us better. Are you telling me you are not the offsprings of those people? Yes, you are. So it is your time to be the Kwame Nkrumah, to be the Mandela, to be those great revolutionaries that changed Africa. Thank you.
We've gone for over an hour. We've gone 15 minutes past our time, and I know that probably everyone wants a photo. I don't know if you're okay with photos. Please join me in thanking our guests.
Okay, twebaza munala baddeko President
If you allow me to the young people of here, you see, I've not forgotten being a musician. And there's this verse that I always dictate to the young Africans, the young Ugandans. I always tell you, we are the country, we are the future, we are the change we badly need. We are the youngest population in the world, we stand a chance. We are the leaders of the future, and the future is today. If we only come together, we can change our destiny. We definitely can and must change our destiny. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. If you are not already on the Center for African Studies email list, please sign up. On your way out, there should be a QR code. That way you won't miss his next visit and other visitors that we have. Again, thank you to Bobi.
Oyo yabadde President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu wano ku Harvard University. Katogere mukone producer Katone. Just a moment. What was this for in a summary? What was this for in a summary?
A summary. This is a conversation at Harvard. I just want to thank everyone.
That's so great. Okay, that's one of the professors who teaches us at Harvard University, and she has been hosting the President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. We thank you so much, guys. Mwebale nnyo bannange ababaddeko bibadde mu luzungu naye bimutegedde mubitegedde ba elite bategedde kibategedde. Tugenda kuba tugalawo, especially ya President egenda kugalwawo, and Ghetto TV nayo very soon egenda kugalwawo. Amanya nze Ashraf Kasirye, tuli wano ku Harvard University, Cambridge, USA, Massachusetts. Mukama abankuumire bannange mwebale nnyo.